Hi, good evening, everyone. What we will do today is we will go and start live in the next 30 seconds. We'll just wait for everyone to join in. We are eagerly waiting to host this session with Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran. But we'll just give a 30-second, considering this to be a Sunday. Let people log in, and then we will start in the next 30 seconds. All right. So, first and foremost, good evening, everyone, all the viewers who have come in today. It's my honor and privilege to introduce Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran, no stranger to us, a person who is passionate about Indian football, a passionate person himself. Since I have interacted with him, and it is my absolute honor and privilege to welcome Dr. Prabhakaran. Dr. Prabhakaran, are you there? Dr. Prabhakaran, your
Yes.
video is not. Yes, now we can see you, we can hear you. So first and foremost, thank you so much for taking time out and giving us your inputs, insights as we are going to unfold the next 90 minutes. We have a lot of questions, Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran, and I must say there are some bouncers heading your way, if I have to say, and those are very nice, interesting questions. But first and foremost, a warm welcome to you.
Thank you, Sanjeet. It's my pleasure and great to see you again. And I am, ready for all the questions because it's everyone has the right to know the facts, and so that everyone can come together to grow the game in India, and that's very important because there are a lot of things which are spoken in social media, and many times those are just kind of agenda driven. Sometimes people doesn't know fact and they just talk whatever they want, but then important thing is they might not be wrong because they don't know inside of many things, because the transparency part is very weak in Indian football, and that is where all the speculations and stories emerge. And that way, I'm really happy that today we can answer whomever whatever the fans want or anyone wants to know about the game in India, and I'll be happy to answer all that questions. Thank you, Sanjeev.
Thank you so much, Dr. Prabhakaran. So, before we start, just a note to all the viewers. While we have received a bunch of questions, and I'm going to curate and ask those questions to Dr. Prabhakaran, but please feel free to add any questions you have while we are hosting this show, in the comments section, and I would be curating those questions and I would be posting and asking those to Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran. So before we get into the questions, Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran, day before yesterday, India versus Kuwait, a must-win game for us. 0-0. Sunil Chetri's emotional farewell. What's your take?
It's what I can say is that we missed a great opportunity to kill the game, get 3 points. It was a fabulous opportunity for us playing home in front of capacity stadium, 58,000 spectators watching the game, and we have missed the opportunity. It's now, it will be tough for us to go and beat in Qatar away from the home, and Asian champions. They played a great game against Afghanistan, though they could not convert their chances. But we can hope, still, a miracle can happen, and that is the only way we can qualify now. And Sunil Chetri, it was really, what he has done. No words can be fulfilling his contribution, and I'm sure he will continue to motivate, encourage, inspire all the fans and those who are putting their hard work to be player. And we will be able to see more Sunil Chetris in the future. And my salute to Sunil for what his 19-year career with the national team been fabulous, and he has given a lot of opportunities for us to celebrate. And what he has done for the game, you know is really inspiring. And I wish him good luck. Whatever he will do next, I'm sure he will be successful in that. It was really great opportunity for me to be there to see his last 90 minutes for India, and he did his best. But we could not get the result what we wanted to see and celebrate that day in a bigger way. And thank you, Sanjeet, for asking the question.
Perfect. So thank you so much, Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran. So I will straight away start, asking the questions which we have received so far. So there are certain questions which are coming in, in the chat, but we had also received certain questions. So let me start off with my first question. Shaji, you are an executive member at the AFC. The question which has come is that big Indian clubs like Mohun Bagan, East Bengal, till date, has not won any AFC Champions League. What is your take? Do you think Indian clubs are lacking as compared to other Asian football clubs? If yes, what are the improvements what we would require in that area for us to compete at that league or at that level?
It's a very good question. For that to happen, for us to beat those big teams in the Champions League, uh, we our league need to become more competitive, and that is very important. Our league is still not that competitive compared to, say, Asia's top 5, 6 leagues, and that is where we need to work hard. The uh, our league in India, we need to strengthen every aspect. We need to see more competitive games, and we need to see more competitive players coming in from both domestic as well as global players who are coming. And that way, our league will be more competitive. Our players become more competitive, and our clubs will become more competitive. And that is where we will be able to compete with the best in Asia. And that, I think it would take time. I think we are in that direction, but then the gap is huge, and we can expect that some club will definitely are planning to compete at the Asian level and in the Champions League, because now we are in Champions League too, and that way the elite, we need to reach to the elite, and that is where the real competition is. We are at the second level of Champions League now from this season, and I'm sure our team will be able to do better, where Mohan Bagan and there may be and the Mumbai City are going to be there, and then Odisha FC will also be playing the continental. No, East Bengal going to play in the continental championship as well. So therefore, let's hope that we will be able to see our team competing and getting that result.
Thank you so much, Dr. Prabhakaran. So I'll quickly, move on to, Kumar Reddy, who has just, put a post where he says that fans are the most passionate people in Indian football, and as fans, after every disastrous performance, match after match, still fans support with unconditional support. And Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran, no words minced. The question is out there, just in terms of, why are there no growth on Indian football system? That is one. There are questions on AIFF. The questions are, Is it that AIFF is choosing inexperienced coaches, or is it that we are hiring the right coaches? That's the second one. And the third one, which is very, very important, just in terms of AIFF handling the entire way of how Indian football is getting managed. I think there's a lot of frustration within the Indian fans. So it's a straight, I think, from the heart question by all the fans, that what exactly is happening at a governance structure.
It's a very important question posed by Kumar Reddy. If the fans' frustrations are valid, because our performances, recent performances, were not that of encouragement. Losing against Afghanistan was kind of a lowest point, and it's not only due to what we see on the pitch, because it's also because of the governance part. We are we are not transparent. That's where the fact, because many of the things what we are trying to do, we are not communicated as and when it should be, and that is where a lot of perception. Fans are have the right to get disappointed, and it is not about at the end only the coach. It is the system. The system is very weak, because those who are 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 years old are not able to get the right environment to grow. Though they are talented, there is we don't have right number of elite coaches at the local level. We don't have the right competitive structure. We don't have the right scouting process at, and we are and the competitiveness there at the youth level is very weak. Therefore, the players, when they reach to the professional level, they are having gaps compared to the counterpart. We need to understand that, and nobody has got the magic wand to change that. And therefore, it's very important that the right expectations are set in the system, and the system need to improve, the structure need to improve, and that is the biggest weakness we have. When I was part of the AIFF, I was trying to, but after 6 7 months of good work, the things started going in the wrong direction, and that is where we have kind of going back to protecting something we should not be. And I really feel sad about the whole thing, what it is there today. And uh, people who deserve to be there should be there. That's very straightforward, because many the people, few of them who are kind of taking decisions and taking the lead role, doesn't have the right attitude, right experience, right expertise, right mindset, and the focus is something else other than the game. And that is where we will not be able to achieve something what we want to. It is not about words; it is about action. And actions are, there are big gaps. That is a fact, and I can say many aspects, but then I want to be short, in saying, specifying things why we are not performing. It is the structure, it is the system, it is the mindset. And like say before Kuwait match, apart from coach, who has had a dialogue with the team, who motivated them, who encouraged them, who had a there was nothing like that. Yeah, the team is in isolation. Yeah, but that should not be the case. The whole system need to support the team in the right way, and that is not happening. And if that doesn't happen, then we are in a crisis situation, and that is why we are going backward. That's very simple. And what a coach can clearly communicate and say, when I was there, what was the difference, and when I am not there, what is the difference. Yeah, I don't want to say I was too good, or a top performer. I don't want to say about myself, but then my focus was, the priority was the national team, and that I have given my best. But then, yeah, it takes time, it is a process, and it was going in that direction, and that's how we reached the ranking of 99. And how we played against Iraq is an example, and we won against Kuwait in November. playing away, and that is the reason. Then the same team, same coach, you know, after November, what happened? You know, it is very clear. That is where we need to really see and understand that there are problems. The right people are not in the system, yeah, and when the right people are not, they cannot understand the perspective of what it requires to develop the game, where what it requires, where to prioritize, and that is where many wrongs are happening, and which is kind of frustration. And I am frustrated because I given my everything, whatever I could, and I want to see India rise, and that is where we all have to work together and to see that the right people there in those positions where decisions are taken and need to be executed in the right way.
No, so thank you so much for that straight, honest answer. I think couple of key points you alluded, Dr. Prabhakaran. The first one is, I think, action orientation, right? Whatever you do has to be action oriented. That's one. The second, what you mentioned, which I thought was very important, was that except for the coach, is the entire ecosystem supporting the team? Are there anybody who's motivating, talking to the team, right? And I think that is very, very important. And the third, as you correctly mentioned, the entire frustration of the Indian fraternity, the football fans, etc., is that till November, we were on a upward trend, and then suddenly everything started to come down. And that brings me to my next question, and these are very straight questions, Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran, and as you correctly mentioned, and I think alluded to the point that we need to have the right person for the job, right? And the questions which have been asked, are questions about the AIFF president. Is he the right person, just in terms of ensuring that are we really focusing on the development of Indian football? That is one. The second is, just in terms of, there were a lot of contracts, etc. I will not be going into the depth, but there were a lot of things which were being undertaken, but those somehow did not happen. So the entire conversation about the sanctity in terms of transparency is being questioned, with the persons who are right now helming the AIFF board, and this goes to the president and his team right now. So any comments, questions, Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran?
Yeah, see, this is a very valid question. I can say, with all responsibility and the understanding that the right person is not who he is right now. Yeah, he was imposed on Indian football, and he is not fit for the job. Absolutely clear. My apologies to Indian football fraternity that I have supported that person who doesn't deserve to be there. And he is, I've within 6 months, 7 months, I have come to know, I've been working with him, that he's not the right person. We have made a wrong decision because his focus is not football. And though he was a former player, being part of the national team, but never played a single match for the country. But he has forgotten his football, and his focus is not football at all. He has come to brand himself to achieve something which football can't give, and he football doesn't deserve this kind of person. The faster this person goes out, not because I have a problem with him, or it's not because they taken some decision against me. No, I am talking about very sincerely, honestly, that this person, as long as this person is there, we cannot see anything because he cannot take any decision. He runs away from taking decision, and he is playing only politics to keep his position, and that is what he has done. And he is trying to use this position for something else where football has no priority, and he doesn't have any experience. See, he has never managed an organization like AIFF. Forget AIFF level. He has not managed any any footballing structure ever. Yeah, and how can he manage? There is no competency in him. Yeah, he's playing politics. He's just ruining everything, whatever good was. Yeah, and this is where people need to raise their voice, because we don't deserve. Because I, being part of football for nearly 3 decades, I have not come across a person like him who is in this position, who has forced himself through politics. Yeah, and he has even lied to people to get this position. Yeah, and our unfortunate situation that we were blinded and not to go and background check of him before, even because we had very, only I was given 48 hours, and it was very difficult. I thought, okay, you know he's a former player, he will be better, he will be good, and that's why I sacrificed for him. Yeah, I withdrew from fighting the position of the president, and then all this happened. And is see, we need people who are passionate, who are invested into the game, who want to see India rise. See, he has not even met the team before the Kuwait match. Yeah, being the team there in Calcutta, he was there in Calcutta. He just wants photo op. Yeah, just photo op. Yeah, where he gives statements every then and now. He gives statements just to get the media highlights or headline management. Yeah? It cannot help football, because we need people who are really sincere. He's not sincere, because he's looking for something which he has made a wrong choice. Yeah, and I sincerely appeal to everyone. We need to get somebody who is really the right person, who has a leadership ability, who has the passion, who can take people together, who can bring get collaboration done. He has not bought a single rupee to the game. Yeah, single rupee to the game. He could not even get the government to support football. He doesn't have that ability to go and negotiate the right thing for the game, and his priorities are very, very different. So he's a disaster. He's the worst president in the history of Indian football, I would say, because I have worked with previous two presidents. I can say they were far better. They were far better. This person, he is ruining whatever we had. He has already ruined. He will take not only the game backward, he will take the institution to a different level, where we will take 100 years to recover. The sooner this person is moved out of the footballing ecosystem, uh, uh, it is going to be a blessing. Yeah, and I would like to sincerely make an appeal to the Prime Minister, uh, Mr. Narendra Modi. He just taken an oath, and football, with 300 million football fans in India, they look towards football in a bigger way, and we need the great support of government, and football needs the backing of the government in a bigger way, because football can give a lot to the country, and that is where we need the right person, who is not somebody who is looking football to take forward his career to somewhere, something else. Yeah, so let's you know and I will be doing whatever I can to make that happen. Yeah, and it's very important, because we have given our life to football, and like many, millions may be there who are part of football, thinking every second, our football need to go up, and that is where we need committed people, sincere people. And if, as long as doesn't happen, we will be continuously crying and criticizing, and I am putting most valid point. because I worked with this person for 14 months. Um, and my experiences were, I can't tell you, you know, I can't tell you. Is like, he's the liability for the game. I can clearly tell you, he's a liability. We need the right person. We need the right person, and that is where things can change. There is everything in India, yeah, everything in India, whatever football needs. But then, if the leadership and the governance doesn't improve, nothing can change. Yeah? And we will, talk for years, nothing will happen. So thank you.
No, so thank you, Dr. Prabhakaran. I think there were two key important aspects. I think which you highlighted, right? Having the right leader, who has the vision to take Indian football forward. That is one, and the second is just in terms of the person who is committed to Indian football to take it to the next greater heights. And if I just quickly take a look at the questions, the responses, I think there are a lot of responses where it is coming straight that how do we remove Kalyan Chaube from the president post. We need proper, transparent, committed, honest people running the football ecosystem in India, and also the state associations. So there are a lot of these questions which are coming up. And as you mentioned, right, that maybe this is the time for AIFF to maybe relook and have a change in leadership to give that impetus what all the Indian football fraternity fans are actually expecting. Now that brings me to the next question as well, which was posted by Aryan in the chat, and just not Aryan. I think there are a lot of questions which we have also received regarding Igor's, our Indian football coaches extension. How is he performing? Should he be sacked? Was it the right decision to extend his contract? So your thoughts and views.
Thank you. See, as far as extension of Igor Stimac is concerned, see, his extension discussion started just after the 4th July, SAF, when we won the SAF. Yeah. And that was where, we won back to back three titles, three trophies. And he has given, number of things for his extension. And it took 3 months to decide for us to give the extension. And it is not my advice to the committee was that, yeah, yes, we need to give him extension, because then only he will be able to focus in the whole of the World Cup qualification competition. And Igor made a number of changes in many aspects, from support staff to his compensation, his conditions of so many things. And then the committee looked into, and it took 3 months for the everyone to decide. And in October, it was granted. And that time, it was absolutely valid to extend, because the performance was there, the ranking went up, everything was going fine. Yeah, except the Asian Games, everything was fine. The Asian Games was not Igor's creation. It is again the creation of somebody who has no experience and who has made team for Asian Games. Even Igor was not aware. Yeah, and Igor took the team because he doesn't want to disappoint India, and he was forced to go with that team because that was the only option. And there were the whole plan of Asian Games was something different. And somebody who is, I said, who is not competent to be there, has even made the team, has decided, taken so many decisions which went against the whole of India, the brand India. And it was a embarrassment for India in many ways. And that's how we were in that real first crisis, when the Asian Games, before the Asian Games, all the controversies, unnecessarily talking about, you know, the players, the clubs, ISL, so many things, yeah, and which was a kind of a mini crisis, and that is where things started, to change, and the focus went to negative direction, and people need to understand that when I was involved, I was part of AIFF, and the extension of Igor's contract at that time, the team was rising, the team was progressing, there was result, there was achievement, and that is why it was done. I am not responsible for what has happened after November. The Kuwait match, we won it. You see the timeline of all of the people, Indian fans. All were praising Indian team, all were praising Igor. Yeah, and his contract was extended. Started the extension talk in July, July to September, and that is where we took time, and his many of the demands were met, many of the demands were not met, and a coach has achieved something at that time. He might be right in demanding so, and we have negotiated for long to get there, and it was done for the benefit of India. But again, the current management, whenever whatever happened, whatever level, whatever time, they were empowered to take decision, which I am not purview to it, and I am not responsible for that. If I was there, there could have been some other decision, definitely. But then I cannot go back and presume things and say something. But whatever the extension was done, July, when he made the proposal, and we took 2 months to decide, it was absolutely right at that time. And November, October, everything proved right. That's a fact. So therefore, the blame, some people are blaming me. It is, their, I don't know which, they don't know the fact. That is the reason. Yeah. And I was there till 7th November. Yeah. And whatever decision I took, you know, I am truly accountable for that, and I am ready to answer all that, but not for things which I am not taken decision. Yeah, I am just part of decision making. Therefore, don't try to just put blame unnecessarily. But honestly, I am telling, that time it was the right decision, because we need to go with a winning combination, and not with some, because I cannot imagine in July, August, September that we will be losing against Afghanistan. Yeah, when we have beaten Kuwait, we have beaten Lebanon, and we played some good football. In we beaten Myanmar, we beaten Lebanon. We then again we beat Lebanon in the, and then in the the Intercontinental Cup, SAF Championship. It was a good movement, and it and that is where we need to put the facts.
No, so thank you for that. I'll just quickly take a quick question from Avik Chatterjee, where he has put that were there any performance-based clauses in his new contract now that he's been performing poorly and it extends for another 2 years, we'll again be stuck with mediocrity. So, any response to that?
No, see the contract. Definitely, there is performance linked in terms of extension and all. Yeah, that way there are things, but then it is again sitting across the table, refining and reviewing everything, because coach, after all, any is like any other employee in the organization, and but it's again the management to invite the coach and have a discussion about everything, and that is how it is done. But then the problem is we don't do that. Rather than what we do is we go to speak through third party or through media, and that is where things go wrong, and that is where facts are not put before everyone. That's wrong, because we need to work in a matured manner. We need to exhibit professionalism, and that is what I think the coach or everyone demands in the system. The system cannot be casual. The system cannot operate only through media management. No, no? It need to have an open conversation about everything. And when when you deal professionally, things go in the right direction and the right decision can be taken. And therefore, the coach or anyone in his place uh, ex- expect that to deal every aspect in professional manner, and have you can have hard talk on any aspect, yeah, and then take the call. Mutually one can take the call, and whatever, and the AFF management can also take the call based on the contract. There are many possibilities there, but I cannot disclose the uh, every term and conditions of the agreement, the contract. But then everything is possible there, yeah. But then it has to be done professionally, and that is what uh, globally every coach expects.
Sure, thanks. I'll take a quick question from Anupam Chakravarti. Uh, so his question is, why are we still in SAFF despite having invitation from CAFA? What about the MOU which we did with Qatar? Why isn't the technical committee had any kind of talk with the coach during your tenure?
See, the agreement was with CAFA was done in October. I only signed it in Qatar, and therefore, I was, after signing the agreement, I think I was there for 10 or 12 days, and therefore, what happened, what is happening on that agreement, I really don't know. And CAFA definitely must be inviting the team as per the agreement, and it is for the management at AIFF to take the call on that. I am not purview to any such discussion what is going through between CAFA and AIFF in that part. But then idea was, intention was that our youth teams, our senior team, if possible, the women teams will get an opportunity to encounter higher competition uh, while playing in CAFA competitions, and they are welcoming because they are great friends of mine, all of them, and I've been working with them for more than 10 years, and they are willing to accommodate in their team. And it is not about moving out of the SAF, because SAF is again a regional federation. What we need SAF also, but at the same time, it is our what are the goals for us to reach and move ahead in football, and that is where we need to be strategic, where we play, when we play, which opponent we should choose. It is all about a bigger plan, and that is where things were worked out under the Vision 2047. But then I don't know whether what all plans are activated, whether the operational plans have been made differently now, or the action items been enforced or not. That only can be answered by the leadership there, because when I was there, everything was operational as part of Vision 2047, Target 2026, where each goals, objectives, we were driving towards that. And if we compare, what were targets of 26, many targets were achieved within 1 year, and that is where the focus was. And within many, see, except maybe ranking of the Indian national team, we might have achieved most of it by 26 if we were following that. But I don't know. I cannot speak for AIFF, but then it's important that we play at the right level of competition, because if we encounter weaker teams, then we will not be able to progress, and that is where CAFA does present as a better competitive environment, because see, Tajikistan has already played under 17 World Cup, and how they played in the AFC Asia Cup. We know they played quarterfinal. They're creating history, and Uzbekistan is a strong footballing nation, and Kyrgyzstan is growing very fast, and that way Afghanistan, Iran. So it's a good competitive environment, and that is where we done it. And I don't know, you where it is. What is happening on that. I cannot answer on that.
Sure. So I think one quick question which comes from this is also about as players, right? The more tournaments or the opportunity the players or the Indian team gets to play, the more better it is for us to actually be more competitive at the larger level. And that brings me to my question, stating that while other countries have created such a good amount of talent pool, but India as a nation, maybe there is still a gap in terms of creating that talent pool. And that comes or brings me to the next question about how strong is our grassroots level infrastructure in terms of building those talent. That is one. Second is, how can we focus or provide that opportunity which gives us an opportunity to play more friendlies tournaments planned for our younger teams. That's the second. And the third to that is that, just in terms of investment, is there a plan roadmap in terms of how we are planning to develop these youngsters which are giving results to other Asian countries?
Oh no, again, very good questions. And see, the talent-wise, India has got a lot of talents. Yeah, no doubt. But the real issue is identifying those talent and nurturing them and giving them the right environment for them to develop and reach to their potential. The gaps are there in all these three areas. The gaps are in talent scouting. There's a huge gap because every talent is not being scouted, because the talent network right now is weak. Why it is big? Weak because our clubs are still not, have the bandwidth or the resources to focus on elite player development. So therefore, the elite player development ecosystem is the weakest part in Indian football, and that is where we are losing talent every year, every season, and that is where where our focus through Arsene Wenger coming to India, talent development scheme, which the TDS of FIFA project, the whole plan of involving getting FIFA on board and Arsene Wenger coming to India was that to really change, build the elite talent development ecosystem. And for that, we are talking about one academy today. That is really narrow minded. Yeah? The whole plan was, because uh, unfortunately, the whole plan was different with Arsenal. Yeah? And somebody hijacked it for for the media coverage rather than the real impact what Arsenal and FIFA could have made. But yeah, still, he is involved, and the academy is still not operational. But that one academy is not going to take Indian football to anywhere. We always had academies, yeah, like, but what it requires is the complete, you know, putting across a talent development pathway, which is leading to elite player development pathway, and that is the most crucial point we don't have today. This one academy might be operational in few weeks time in Odisha. That not going to change anything. Yeah? We will going to cater 30-40 players. No, we need to build 1,000 to 2,000 players in our system. How that can happen? The entire blueprint was ready to be executed, and along with that, we need the competitive structure for this 13-year-old, 12-year-old, 15-year-old, 16-year-old to play those number of games, you know, and that is what being built to execute everything together, along with the guidance and the mentorship of Arsene Wenger. But he was not presented all that what was being planned in that manner, where we could have seen Arsene coming almost every quarter to India. He could have got the kind of motivation to be in India uh, with that project. But then, you know, that is why I'm saying the focus has to be right. If the focus is media, that I have to get the media attention and get the headline, then we will do only shortcut things, because it is not going to strengthen our foundation. It is not going to strengthen our capacity. It is not going to yield any result, and that is what we are seeing right now. And Arsene Wenger is like a god to football. We need to use him in the best way and optimize his hours. Every hour he is in India, we need to use him in the right way. Yeah, and he can inspire, he can motivate, he can guide, and we could not. We what I my assessment is that he was underused when he was here, and I don't know, you know, what feedback he got, but then the whole approach was different, and that is where I think we will see more talent coming if the right system exists, and that is why I'm talking that we still don't have the right kind of system to produce players. Sunil Chetri is not coming, was not has come to football, dominated Indian football, scored those 94 goals, played 151 times, not because of design. Yeah, that is his own design. System has not designed Sunil Chetri to be there. Yeah, and that is what we are. That is why everybody was asking who is after Sunil. The system doesn't have answer. Yeah, and that is the most unfortunate part. We are in a very primitive structure. That's a fact, and our focus is not right, and our priorities are not right, and there is no collaborative approach. Everyone is trying to do their own thing, and nobody is bringing everyone together to achieve our common vision, common goal, to get to a level. And as long as that doesn't happen, football cannot. It's a very competitive sport. You have to work every second. You have to work every minute. You have to work every hour in that committed way for next 15-20 years to really get somewhere. And we have all the ingredients. We have the right talent. We need to develop the right coaches. When the elite player development pathway has a huge gap, we don't have elite player coaches in the system. We don't have, because it is you cannot, the having license doesn't mean that you are elite coach. It requires more than that, and that is where we need to focus. We need to have 200 to 500 elite coaches in the system who is really working to polish those talents, and that is where we have in the vision 2047 clearly demonstrated that we can be a talent hub by 2047. And what we need is A to B to C to D to everything was envisioned. Yeah, somebody might say, "Oh, it looks good in paper," but then I can visualize that. How that can be done, how it can be get there, because I have done it for some other geographies. It's not that it's words, but people at the end uh, um, doesn't have a process oriented approach, doesn't have design oriented approach. People doesn't have professional approach, then we will be only talking about our weaknesses, our negative side. That's the unfortunately we are doing. See, in my conversation for last 50 minutes, what mostly it is about the negative side, yeah, and that is not good.
Yeah, no, so I think, it clearly, and it is also clearly stemming, if I quickly take a look at, the comments, there's a clear, frustration, the patience limit of all the fans are getting tested. And I think you put a very good point. I think, when the FIFA talent development pathway, program was conceptualized, I think it was a great opportunity or a moment, aha moment for Indian football when we had Arsene Wenger coming in. But I think, again, there were a lot of expectations, which we were expecting that, yes, I think, FIFA is invested. We have, Arsene Wenger himself, the great man, coming to India, and there would be a lot of things which would eventually happen, but that also kind of died down. And I think it also reflects back to your first point, where maybe, the right, person at the right job, who has the right leadership, capabilities in terms of, identifying a vision and then executing that, becomes very important. And it's a missed opportunity. And honestly, Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran, I think that's where all the frustrations are coming in. That, hey, while there is a Vision 2047, as a part of the Vision 2047, there were a lot of key initiatives which were taken into consideration, and that really, looked very good in terms of how we will take Indian football to the next level. But then all those initiatives, if I actually have to take a look, it started, but it just did not get executed. So, again, the same question to AIFF, from all the fans, who love this game in India and would want to see India, go to the next level, is that while we have, a great strategy, on paper, but do we have the right leadership? Do we have the right person to actually execute? Is a question, a big question mark, which we have. But coming to the next point, which you also mentioned, that, while player development is very important for us to actually take Indian football to the next level, but, you alluded to the point that we also need to focus on coaches, because if you do not have the right elite coaches, obviously player development will not happen. Can you just give a little bit of, insight, just in terms of the Vision 2047, the document which, when you were there, which was presented, what was the plan in terms of ensuring that the elite coaches, or the way how you were planning to develop coaches in India?
A good question, Sanjeet. See, the whole plan was that we need coaches at every level, yeah, from grassroots to the pro level. And there was a plan till 26, and then till 2047, and 2031 plan would have been ready by the middle of the 26, seeing what we have achieved uh, till 26. The gaps have been identified, and if you read the Vision 2047 deck, you can clearly see that we identified that these are the gaps, and this is where we need to fill, and how we will be filling it in terms of the number. And there were a lot of back end work happened, and it was working. See, every fortnight I used to spend more than 7 8 hours on Vision with each specific department, especially. And the coach education was again one of the priority areas, including the grassroots and the national team and women's football. No doubt, the coach education. See, we we had a lot of gaps in terms of coach educators. Yeah, because we need good coach educators at every level, and then they can go and train the coaches, and that is where we identified the gaps. And there were not enough A licensed coaches. There were not enough B licensed coaches. There were not enough pro licensed coaches. But overall number of coaches were also less. In a country of 1.4 billion, when we took over, there were some 9,000 or 8,000 coaches. Yeah, and now it might be 13,000 or 12,000 coaches, maybe, or 14,000. But this number is in Japan, only comprised of goalkeeper number of goalkeeper coaches. Yeah, and we need more than 100,000 coaches by say by 2030, 2032, to really get the right kind of players, talent, and shaping those talent. And every club will be employing, because the idea was that we will strengthen the competitive structure at the youth level, and elite youth competition will also start. And that way every club, those who are professional club, because we have envisioned 100 professional clubs by 2047. And think about what is the number of elite coaches we need therefore those numbers were very crystal clear, and how we will get it. But it was very challenging in two three aspects. Why it was challenging. One, there were a number of instructors were very less, and there were a number of C license, B license, A license coaches were very less. Yeah, and then the whole competitive environment at the youth level. If the coaches are not getting game time like players, you cannot evaluate even coach. The coach themselves cannot evaluate. The coach themselves cannot put resources to develop their competencies and skill set. So there are so many aspects goes into. It is not only about seeing a coach. You can have coach, but then the coach doesn't have the platform and the opportunity or a team to coach and train. One cannot grow in the game. Yeah, and therefore you need to see one decision. You need to see 20 different things, and then you need to work on those 20 different things in a very different manner. And that is where the stakeholders participation, their collaboration, coordination, partnership, all makes a huge difference. And that is where leadership plays a role. The leadership brings stakeholders together, and bring them to the common goal. They understand their responsibilities, what, and we will share and do it. And that is the biggest missing part, because we are not collaborating as much we should be. uh, and 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 that way we will be able to put resources from different stakeholders together, and bring the right investment into the gaps whatever we have, and then move in that direction. And that cohesiveness, that's the teamwork, it takes time. And the culture is again an important factor for any organization, for any ecosystem to flourish, to grow, and attain success. The culture plays an important role. What is the culture of an organization? What is the culture of the ecosystem overall? Has to be performance oriented, it has to be result oriented, it has to be accountable oriented, it need to have the capabilities, it need to understand what philosophy we should work, how we should work, and everything. So therefore you are trying to write a book which was never written a book. Yeah, once you write a book, you need to start implementing from chapter 1, para to para, get the conclusion, and then move to the chapter 2, and you will reach 200 chapter. And we never had anything. Yeah, because we don't know what kind of players we should develop. That was what is the prototype of player we should have. Yeah, our cultural ethics, our diversity, our physicality, our nutritional habit, our mindset, everything comes into play in understanding and finding, okay, this is the kind of player we will produce, and we need to build technology around it. Yeah, and the tech part was never a part of anything. Yeah, and you need to bring that capacity into the system. Yeah, where with technology you can reach to a different level. At the same time, you can fast track things, yeah, and you can Indianize certain things. So how AI can support it, how we can collaborate with, we were in discussion. I was personally in discussion with one of the biggest, the Indian giants in technology company to partner with us. It was like a week away. They are doing it, and we could have come up with different things whereby we could have established something where India is giving to the world of football some technological innovation, innovative techs in football, and that could have helped us, more, producing more elite coaches, shaping more talent, scouting more talent, bringing down the cost of courses, talent development, many aspects, yeah, and resource mobilization, bringing all stakeholders together, everything. There are so many, see, I can talk for 100 days, but then we will not be able to get everything, what vision has envisioned. Yeah, it is just few lines, few words, but then before, there were, you know so many hours being spent, going in depth in every aspect, and I have, those 2000 books inside me on about each aspect, how we can get there, and there is a science behind it. It is not, just a theoretical aspect. We can reach to a point and achieve those goals if we'll do A, B, C, D in the right way with the right intention. And that is all was being tried under, you know, vision. And, see, I can only answer till the time I was there. Therefore, I don't know now.
No, so I think so one key element which you spoke about, which was bringing technology into the game to fast track, whether it is player development, coach development, or just the betterment of the game as such. And I think if I take a look at any developed professional club outside India or even the national teams, absolutely you are correct. I think the way how they measure every player leveraging tech in analyzing games, so on and so forth, is obviously one notch above. And I know that that was also part of the plan. And again, the next question, obviously, I would maybe park it, but you're absolutely correct. Again, to the AIFF current people who are managing that, where are we on all those conversations which were planned for the betterment, and those all remain unanswered. But just in terms of the tech bit, I think there were a couple of questions on the introduction of VAR, which was has been asked that in India we were also looking at getting VAR to India, but obviously that is also something which is still not there. So any comments on the same?
See, the VAR, we had already started discussion when I was there with internally as well as externally, and FIFA was also involved, and we were trying to see, when we can get VAR, because it is a process. We need to create the right capacity in the system. We need manpower who can manage VAR. We need to train referees, and then what kind of system we can get and how many systems, because India is huge, yeah, and we need more than four system of VAR, and what kind of cost, what kind of level of VAR we can go. So they were all were in discussion, and it is not like a out of the counter you are buying a VAR system. You need to prepare the whole system to deal with it, and then as long as and then what ISL is concerned, the whole investment is done by ISL management. It is their lookout that when they want to invest into the war for ISL and bring it. So therefore, that discussion was on, and it was their call. When they want to put that investment to get the VAR system into India, and the whole blueprint was worked out, and it was in discussion. And then when the VR can be extended to I League and other competitions, so therefore it was in discussion. But then we some people just make some comment that yeah, we will get something now or tomorrow, day after. No, see, unless, see, I was not sure when we can get, because see, to get, we need to get the right budget, right funding. That is one part. But then when we can adopt VAR fully, what are the backends we need to work? What is the level of expertise we need? What is the level of infrastructure we need? What is the level of the broadcasting aspect we need to? So it's not about you buying a system. It is tuning the entire competitive structure to adopt VAR. It's a capacity building exercise. Yeah, and that is the work was started, I can say. And I'm for VAR, because technology is there. We need to get the technology to ease for the ease of doing things, and that way we will be our efficiency will be better. Yeah, and there is no two-way on that. But then we want, because the world, many parts of the world, the top leagues and top competitions are using VAR, and it doesn't mean that we have to get it tomorrow, but the preparedness is very important.
Sure. So just in terms of preparedness, because I think if we have to look at the way how technology is evolving and it is getting so much integrated with the game, I think these elements like VAR, etc., become basic now. It is no more looked as something which is something different, which is an add-on to the game. But as technology is rapidly evolving, I think these also become part of the core basic infrastructure which needs to get provided to all, let's say, the big matches, etc., and should be part and not as an afterthought, saying that hey, we need to invest. And I'm sure this is a question back again to AIFF, because if the conversations were on how do we ensure that certain things like VAR, etc., come into the foray, which makes the game much more, I would say, logical, because we have seen specifically in the ISL, there were a lot of those decisions which went against certain teams, etc., because VAR was not there. So now I'll just quickly, there were a bunch of questions in terms of, and I'm going to club all those questions. There were a bunch of questions like, there aren't enough friendlies which are there. Our Indian players, while they get inducted in a club, but instead of them getting a lot of match practice, they are sitting on the bench. Are there opportunities for the Indian players to go and play abroad, etc.? So if I have to, club the thematic which is arising is that, see, for a game like football, the more tournaments, the more matches any player plays, is going to be beneficial not only for the players but even for the development of coaches, because just in terms of analyzing the game, in terms of the entire strategy of how you go ahead and play and stuff like that. So things like Dr. Prabhakaran, things like maybe certain players going abroad to play, influx of other teams coming to India. And I'm not talking about the the national teams, but even, let's say, clubs can come in and play friendlies in India, or we can even go to any European nation to play friendlies. So what is your thought plans that how can we get more matches played for our players?
See, uh, what we need is the national team. The international dates are very clear. We should never miss those dates and play competitive competitions and friendlies. And we need to plan well in ahead, so that we clearly can choose the right opponent depending upon our goals and the target where we want to reach with that level of competitive opponent. And that way the senior team is kind of like we played a record number of games this last season, and it I don't think we have played this number of games ever. Yeah. It's but Now the biggest gap is at the women's level and the youth teams, the national youth teams. That we are not playing enough competitive games, which is where we need to plan it right, and that is where we need to take the support and collaboration of the government, Sports Authority of India, and many other countries. The member like Qatar, we have MOU. We have Saudi, we have MOU. Spain, we have MOU. All that, we need to take the best advantage of this situation, and also CAFA, we have MOU. All this where our youth teams can go and play, and our women's team can go and play, and that is where a calendar need to be there, and the right kind of coaches should be there, who are long term, who have really have done produced players, developed players, and have given results, and that is what is required. And then the coach and the development team with the technical committee should finalize the whole calendar of competitive fixtures at the youth level and the women's, which is very important. And the world is open. You can always get to play in any part of the world, but you have to plan it in advance. It cannot be 3 months in advance or 1 month in advance. It has to be 8 9 months or an year in advance. Then you will get the teams you want to play at the global level, which you can invite teams to get the right competitive opponent, and that is all. It's again a the competitive fixture, this exposure is all part of a your team development plan. Yeah? And depending upon different continental competitions, like if the AFC championship qualification or a final round, so that what kind of opponents you will be facing there, and then you choose the right opposition team to get the right test case by playing those games. And you will be able to evaluate your players, you will be able to evaluate your team, and transparently you share everything with everyone, so that everyone knows that where we are heading to. And that is the culture of what you say, the performance oriented structure we need to build. Unfortunately, that system doesn't exist. Yeah. Because I was investing a lot of time in creating that system where analytics becomes real important, where everybody knows why we failed in that particular match, or in what training, what level of intensity, and what was the motive of that training session, that it is transparently known, though that it is not limited to a youth coach, and the player doesn't know, the system doesn't know. Yeah. And that is where our weaknesses we kind of portray.
No, so perfect. So I'm just being wary of time, and we have the next 14 to 15 minutes. So I'll just quickly pick up questions, and it'll be more of a rapid fire. So I think Chennaiyan lad, I don't know his name, but his alias is Chennaiyan lad. His question is, Shaji sir, you have done fantastic as the AIFF general secretary. Can you shed some light why you were ousted from that post?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. Yeah, and I have never answered publicly this, but then I will not hesitate to answer, because see, the very simple. I told the person at the help that I don't trust you, and I it is you don't. uh, you are not doing the right thing, and you don't deserve to be there. I told very clearly, and that's the consequence I have to face because I was ready to anyway, moving out within next 3 days. By next year I would have resigned because it was very stated very clearly to the person that you deserve to be in this position because you are not doing the right thing, and I don't have a trust on you because you are not in the right direction. And which was a very frank, you know, uh, my feedback to the person, and then that person got completely, stunned, and then he got, you know, it was a knee-jerk reaction, I would say, by the person because he is so insecure. He was completely an insecure person at that time, and I'm sure he's same because the person who doesn't have competency, the person doesn't have the ability, the right expertise, right attitude, right knowledge, right direction, and no commitment, who is kind of a, you know living in a fool's paradise, will take that kind of decision because it is all about himself, not about football. And very scared person, and a scared person gets, really, uh, what you say, when they hear the truth, they can't face it, and that's a fact. And unfortunately, uh, uh, we all have to face this situation today because of that one person. Yeah. It is not about I being there or not there. It's not important. I am one among you all. But important is how the game moves forward, who has a commitment, who has a passion, who is honest about what he is saying, what is he doing, and doesn't have any other ulterior motive being there. uh, Football should be the sole priority. Football should be the whole. Everything should go towards football. Yeah, and and that is where, you I felt, I can no longer work with this person, and that's all.
No, so thank you for that. I think the next question, I'm just taking rapid fire questions, and this is from Avik Chatterjee. There are multitude of private clubs which are coming up. Who are, those football clubs are coming. One, do they have the proper coaches, proper infrastructure to even train? Because it's more about the fees, the money making thing which comes into picture. So, what are your thoughts about that?
See, it's a, like, no, in a system, and especially this is prevalent more at the metros and cities where this system exists. But then, in America, this is the only system there, pay and play in most of the sports. And recently, FIFA president also commented that as long as, you know, is there, we will not be able to see bigger talent coming, or we will not get to the potential of what U.S. football does have for football. But then, we can't blame uh, anyone here because, see, so it is like a business where you take the decision, the customer takes the decision, yeah? And a system cannot be, made that, okay, one cannot operate uh, a business uh, kind of food academy. It is for the customer to decide whether you want to go to, which shop. Yeah, but then, it is like you get all kind of services when you pay the right amount. And there are different levels of services, like if you go to a two-star hotel or five-star hotel or a seven-star hotel. But then football, the most, the downside of it is that those who are real talent doesn't have the economic strength, they cannot get in, and that is where sometimes the talents are discouraged. So that is the reason we need to, you know, have more football, training opportunities. More schools should have school football as part of their, development, all-round development of the children, and then see this. If you, like say, urban situation, we need to understand. Even if you go to school and you will say I will train free, they will ask you to deposit 5,000 or 20,000, in some cases 2,000 per day for 1 hour. uh, and how can you manage that? Yeah? And some of them they do it, but then majority cannot do it. Yeah? And then you are trained as a coach, and you have invested in your coaching license, and you are not doing anything else. You have to get the money from football to sustain yourself, your life. Yeah? And you are giving value out of that money, then it is good. But the problem is, few cases, they are only taking money, they are not giving that kind of service. So therefore, what we need to have the right regulation towards it. That an academy must have, a qualified coach, this kind of facilities. This is should be what are their curriculums, what they give to the children. If it is standardized, then we can get something out of it.
Yeah, perfect. So, a quick question from Anupam Chakravarti. I think Indian Arrows were shut down, and most of the current national team players came from Indian Arrows. So, just a question to you straight, that in your tenure, why was it closed? Is there any way of we thinking of reviving back?
See, the what we fail to understand is that, see, the national team will be there, whether arrows or anything. Yeah. So, but what we need to understand is that what we have achieved from that. Yeah. Whether our performance has gone up 10 notes, or it has become better, or we become a very competitive side. We are still struggling. Yeah. Whether Indian arrows or something else. If if the project has given you the level of players, they are really sought after. If the player is being scouted by an European club, then you can say that project has done something. Yeah. Like like Indian arrows closed, more than now, say it's almost going to be 2 years in September. But then the question to be asked, you know, what is the level of players Indian Arrows produced? You know, so we need to see that when the investment is made, there has to be a level of outcome to be defined. Yeah? And that is what need to be in the system. If Indian Arrows can produce the level of players who really become real stars, who can go out, who can be a real star player in India. Yeah, that's not the case. So therefore, you know, I really don't agree that the Indian arrows were very good. Absolutely not. It I would say that we have wasted a lot of money on that, which has not given anything. Anyway, we have national team before Indian arrows or after arrows, during arrows. But then it is only Sunil Chetri is not the product of Indian arrows. Yeah, who dominated apart from Sunil Chetri? No one. Yeah. So that way, I don't want to go name by name the current Indian team, who were part of, who were not part of, what is the level. It's not right, because it is not the players to be blamed, it is the system. And we need to and that is where we need, 100 Indian arrows in India. That's very important.
No,
Not
well
one.
said. I think, yeah. No, I think well said. It's just not about one Indian arrows. Indian arrows can just be an acronym, but I think we need hundreds of them in India to make it really good. So the last two questions before we wrap up, being cognizant of time, is one from Abhilash Das, where he says that we only play friendlies against teams like Bangladesh, Nepal. Why don't we play against Australia, Japan, Korea? The teams who are ranked much more higher. So any thoughts on that?
See, I think that definitely was in the horizon, that we will be playing higher ranked sides, and I don't think, like when I was there or last the friendly opportunities, we didn't had any friendly opportunities, unfortunately. But then we have utilized our national team to play in the right competition, where we had competition like Kings Cup was good, where we played Iraq, yeah, and then Merdeka Cup, we played Malaysia, and unfortunately we lost both of the games, but it was not supposed to be get lost. And then home, we played competitive sides, and so going forward we have to play, some big teams, because it really gives you the hope and opportunities to see where you are really, yeah, and that is part of a strategy. Definitely, we were building to it, yeah, where we can get to play something, but then to plan friendlies with big team like Japan, Australia, Saudi Arabia, Australia, or even England, Germany, you need to plan 3 to 4 years in advance minimum, yeah, they can't get you. Those teams are not available if you reach out to them an year in advance. No way. Yeah? It has to be 3 years, 2 years, 4 years, 5 years in advance, and that is where, because they want to get best out of their opponent as well, yeah? And we need to also get. So it's a mutual. Yeah? What they can get playing against us and what we can get. So therefore, you don't discuss with one team, but then you might have to discuss with 20 of 30, 40 teams, and there is, one person has to be dedicated every week to get that done. Yeah? And that too 4 years, 5 years in advance. You need to start discussing this with your opposition to get, the top 50 teams to play against India. What is the value they can get? Yeah, one is the competitive value, and the other is the commercial value, and the overall impact what it can get to. So they don't, you know, so it's strategic at the end and reaching to team's objective and goals.
Sure. Perfect. Thank you, Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran. The last question before we wrap up today's session is, I think, quite an interesting one. Who can play the World Cup first, the women's national team or the men's national team?
I think, what I don't want to compare both women and men, yeah, because we are at the same level of football. It's yeah, ranking wise, the women's are higher, but we need to really understand the whole ecosystem of women's and men's football. I wish both teams, both men and women, to play the World Cup at the same time, but it can happen in the either way. But we have to understand that both the verticals, both the men and women, we need to have equal focus, equal opportunities, and give them more opportunities. Then I think we will be able to see more uh, growth in our teams, not only racking, but the performance is clear. Performance, consistent performance, and we need more women in our system as players, and still the number is not that big compared to men. Uh, it is at the 10% level overall. Yeah, if you see the registration in every state, and number of teams are also at the 10% level. So their numbers need to grow. More girls need to play. We need more coaches, more clubs focusing towards women, and definitely uh, we will play World Cup, but I can't say that women will play first than men, yeah, because we haven't yet started that kind of process to elevate the women's team to be faster than men. Our whole logic of stating so is that based on ranking, yeah, it has to be based on a clear performance matrix. Yeah. And that performance matrix, once you evaluate, once you analyze, you will see that we are at the same level, both men and women. And both would require the same kind of effort, same kind of resources, same kind of time, and you the same kind of the passion and the same kind of system to get there. And therefore, don't go by ranking. Let's be factual on performance metrics to put the team in the right position. And our women's are doing exceptionally well in spite of less opportunities, in spite of hard, environment. We really would like to thank them. What they do. Their opportunities are less. Their support is less. They have more challenges than men, and they're more, struggling. The economic value chain in women's football is still not there. Yeah, some of them don't even get anything to buy their even equipment. Yeah, so that's the unfortunate situation. So therefore we need to do the basics right. Yeah, bring to the level, and then we need to really see, okay, this is where we will definitely challenge to be there in the World Cup.
No, but thank you so much, Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran. So, just being wary of time, I think we are, up the 90 minutes. But just to quickly summarize, a lot of straight questions, pointed. One, obviously, the key is that, there is an immediate, I would say, need to have the right leadership to actually execute the vision what we have. I think that's one big key takeaway. That's one. The second is, how do we ensure that we imbibe technology within the football infrastructure to make us much more competitive. That's the second bit. The third was all around, I think, both player development as well as the coaches development, which were there. And then obviously questions related to the ISL, questions related to the the Indian Arrows, VAR, so on and so forth. But just in a nutshell, thank you so much, Dr. Shaji Prabhakaran. As I said before the call started, there are going to be certain bouncers, some tough questions coming your way today. But thank you so much, for answering that. Honestly, thank you as always, because I have seen you being very transparent, being very ethical and committed towards the game. So thank you for who you are. And I would just would hand it over to you if you would want to say something to all our listeners before we sign off for today.
Thank you, Sanjeet, for that concluding, summarizing the whole interaction, and also thank you for your kind words. It's always a pleasure to be part of the discussion. I have to say to all the viewers and all the fans who joined us today, all the questions were not answered yet because of the time constraint. But then don't worry, keep asking these questions. We will organize another interactive session where all those questions will be answered. And don't shy away from asking questions, but then don't uh, try to you know come out with things where one doesn't know the facts, and we need to be very mindful, because those who are part of football, it's not easy, and one really need to understand the whole context and the whole circumstances, situation, everything. And in this social media world, there are a lot of people who spread lies to and character assassination is done, yeah, which is not right, because we all have to come together to grow the game, and those who are not right, those who doesn't fit, and those who doesn't have the competency, doesn't have the ethics, integrity, and who doesn't have the passion, and fooling people in number of ways, you know, they don't deserve to be there. That's all. We all have to fight on a daily basis to get the right thing for football. And as long as we are honest, we are right, and we are doing with the right intention, without any agenda, without any ulterior motive, we will be able to succeed, because the beautiful game deserves beautiful minds, beautiful people, and beautiful conversation. And India can definitely grow in football. It is just matter of time, and I'm sure the government will be coming forward and helping in the best possible way for the football to grow in India. And all those viewers, all those fans who joined, my compliments to each of you. It was really wonderful having you all. And thanks once again, uh, Sanjeet, for having me. And see you soon. All the best. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And good night, everyone. Thank you so much.
Good night. Bye bye. Thanks.